At first it looked like nothing, just another forgotten container baking under the sun. Workers walked past it 100 times without a second glance. But Max, the K9, froze. He barked. He clawed. He refused to leave. And when the doors were opened, silence turned to horror. Before we start, make sure to hit like and subscribe.
And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from?
Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The shipping yard stretched endlessly, a forest of metal containers stacked like giant blocks against the horizon. The air was thick with the smell of oil, rust, and the constant echo of cranes lifting cargo. Workers shouted orders, trucks rumbled past, and the port moved with mechanical rhythm, routine, predictable, ordinary. Among the bustle, Officer Ryan walked beside his partner Max, a German shepherd with sharp amber eyes. Max wasn't just any canine. He was known for his focus, his nose that never lied. Drugs, explosives, contraband, whatever it was, Max always found it. Officers trusted him more than scanners or paperwork. That morning felt no different from countless others. Containers lined the dock, each tagged, sealed, and waiting. To the officers, they were just numbers on a list. But for Max, one of them would soon become more than steel and rust. One would reveal a secret. As Ryan led Max down the narrow rows, the dog suddenly stopped. His ears perked, his muscles stiffened, and his nose pressed toward a container at the far edge of the yard. At first glance, it was unremarkable. Rusted corners, faded paint, a number barely visible on the steel. Just another box among thousands. But Max growled. Ryan frowned. He tugged at the leash, but the dog didn't budge. Instead, Max barked, sharp, insistent, the kind of bark Ryan had learned never to ignore. Other officers turned their heads, probably rats, one of them muttered, smirking. These old containers are full of them. But Ryan knew Max better than that. His partner didn't waste energy on rodents. Something about the container held his full attention. Max circled it, sniffing the corners, pawing at the door, growling low in his throat. The laughter faded as the dog refused to quit. His behavior was different, more desperate, almost frantic. It wasn't detection. It was obsession. A chill ran through Ryan. Containers hid many things, contraband, weapons, even people. But whatever was inside this one, Max was treating it like life or death, and that made Ryan uneasy. Ryan reported Max's reaction, but his supervisor barely glanced at the container. The manifest showed nothing unusual, just machinery parts from overseas. Paperwork was clean, seals intact. Opening it without cause meant hours of red tape, and no one wanted the hassle. Dogs get it wrong sometimes, an officer said, shaking his head. It's an old box, probably smells funny. Forget it, but Max didn't forget. He pulled against the leash, claws scraping the concrete, refusing to be led away. When Ryan tried coaxing him with water, he ignored it. When offered food, he turned his head. His eyes never left the steel doors. By evening, Max was still there, lying against the container, ears twitching at every sound inside, as if waiting for something. The other officers laughed at the dog's stubbornness, but Ryan felt a weight in his chest. Something wasn't right. Hours turned into a full day, and still Max wouldn't move. The sun blazed overhead, baking the rows of containers until the steel shimmered with heat. Workers passed by, curious, whispering about the strange dog who had camped beside the rusty box. By the second day, Max looked exhausted. His fur was matted with dust, his eyes bloodshot from lack of sleep. Yet he remained there, head pressed against the door, letting out soft whines as if begging someone inside to answer. Ryan's chest tightened every time he saw it. Dogs didn't act like this unless something or someone needed saving. The security team grew uneasy. Some admitted they could hear faint noises at night, though no one dared to check. Others insisted it was nothing more than metal creaking in the heat. Finally, on the third day, the higher-ups gave in. Fine, the supervisor muttered. Break the seal. The officers exchanged glances, the air heavy with tension. Tools clanged against steel as they prepared to open the doors. Max backed away just enough to let them work, his body trembling with anticipation. And in that moment, everyone realized, whatever was inside, it was alive. With a groan of metal, the seal snapped. The heavy lock clattered to the ground, echoing across the yard. Officers gripped the handles, pulling the doors apart inch by inch. The first thing that hit them was the smell. A sour, suffocating stench poured out, thick enough to make men gag and turn their heads. It was rot, oil, and something unexplainably foul, like death had been sealed inside. Flashlights cut through the darkness. Dust floated in the air, disturbed after days, maybe weeks of stillness. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Rusted shelves, old crates, and shadows dancing against the steel walls. Then, Max barked, frantic, pulling Ryan forward. The beam of light swept deeper, past the crates. A sound broke the silence, faint, fragile. A whimper, every officer froze. Eyes darted to one another, disbelief settling in. Containers weren't supposed to cry. Ryan swallowed hard. "Someone's in there," he whispered. The laughter, the dismissals, all vanished. Suddenly, the rusty box wasn't just steel and bolts. It was something far darker, and with trembling hands, the officers pushed inside, following the sound that had turned their routine search into a nightmare. The flashlights trembled as beams of light sliced through the stale darkness. Officers stepped carefully between broken crates and scattered tools, their boots crunching over shards of rust and wood. The sound came again, a faint scratch followed by a weak, muffled cry. "Over there!" Ryan pointed, his pulse quickening. Behind a stack of wooden pallets, something shifted. The officers pulled the crates aside, and what they uncovered froze them in place. Huddled together in the corner were children, 5 of them. Their faces pale, eyes wide with terror, lips cracked from thirst. They shrank back from the sudden light, their tiny hands shielding their faces as if expecting another blow. For a moment the room was silent, broken only by Max's low whine. The German shepherd stepped forward gently, his nose brushing the smallest child. The boy's trembling fingers reached out, touching the dog's fur like it was the first safe thing he'd felt in weeks. "Dear God," one officer whispered, his voice breaking. The radio crackled as Ryan shouted for paramedics. Water bottles were opened, blankets rushed in, hands trembling as officers tried to comfort the children. The reality hit them hard. This wasn't contraband or weapons or even stowaways. This was human trafficking. Lives, stolen and hidden in steel. And if not for Max, they would have died in the dark. The shipping yard erupted in chaos as paramedics rushed inside. Tiny bodies were lifted carefully, wrapped in blankets, water pressed to cracked lips. Their eyes darted nervously, still unsure if this was rescue or another cruel trick. Ryan watched in silence, his throat tight. Just hours earlier, these children were seconds from death. Now, because of one dog's refusal to give up, they had a chance at life. Max sat nearby, tail low, ears forward, watching every movement. When one of the children was carried past on a stretcher, her fragile hand reached out. She clung to Max's fur with surprising strength, refusing to let go until the paramedic gently pried her fingers free. Reporters arrived quickly. Cameras flashed, questions flew, but the officers ignored them, focusing only on the survivors. Later, doctors confirmed what Ryan feared. Another day in that container and none of them would have lived. Word spread fast. Max wasn't just a canine anymore. He was a savior, a hero whose instincts had shattered human doubt and exposed a hidden crime. And in that moment, surrounded by flashing lights and rescued lives, every officer knew this dog had changed everything. Night fell over the port, but Ryan couldn't shake the image of the container. The metal doors now stood wide open, police tape fluttering in the wind. Hours earlier, it had looked ordinary, just another forgotten box. Now it was a crime scene that told a story of horror and survival. Max lay at Ryan's feet, finally resting, though his ears twitched with every distant sound. He had given everything, his hunger, his rest, even his peace, because something inside that steel prison had called to him. Something only he could sense. The rescued children slept safely in hospital beds, but their faces lingered in Ryan's mind. He wondered how many other containers passed through unnoticed. How many secrets lay hidden behind locked doors. Instinct saved them, one officer whispered. But Ryan wasn't sure it was just instinct. It felt like something deeper, an unspoken bond between life and the one who refused to abandon it. The next morning, workers walked past thousands of containers, each one sealed, silent, anonymous. But Ryan couldn't look at them the same way again, because now he knew. Some boxes don't just carry cargo. Some carry secrets, and sometimes only a dog can hear them,